Hi everyone, good afternoon. I think Sachita can start the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
A warm welcome to all the participants for the fourth day of our faculty development program. This FDP is organized by the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, Jyoti Engineering College, under the theme AI in Healthcare, Data Analytics, Ethics and Real-World Applications. As we progress to the fourth day of your active participants and sustained, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You are speaking on mute.
The FDP is being organized by the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, Jyoti Engineering College under the theme AI in Healthcare, Data Analytics, Ethics and Real-World Application. As we progress to fourth day, your active participation and sustained enthusiasm are truly appreciated. Today's second section is on the topic AI in Healthcare, Future Transformation of Care and Life Sciences Ecosystem. This section will provide insight into how artificial intelligence is reshaping the healthcare industry from improving clinical decision making and patient outcomes to transforming healthcare system and life sciences through advanced technologies. We are privileged to have two distinguished resource persons with us today. We are honored to have Mr. Rajanarayanan CK, Senior Director, Technology and Architect, Health Sciences. He is an enterprise architect and Cognizant Technology Solution, Chennai, with over 24 years of experience in the IT industry. Throughout his career, he has taken key roles in including developer, program manager, technical architect, solution architect, and enterprise architect, contributing extensively to the design and development of healthcare systems. He has strong expertise in architecting healthcare payer solutions using Java and open source technologies, along with extensive experience in architectural analysis, design, and validation. His technical expertise includes Java, Python, and AWS, supported by methodologies such as OAAD and NeoGAF. He is an Oracle Certified Master, AWS Certified Solution Architect. His innovative contributions have been recognized internationally with a solution included in the permanent resource collection of the institute. We extend a warm welcome to Mr. Ayyappan Balakrishnan, Chief Architect, Health Sir. He is an enterprise architect at Cognizant Technology Solution, Chennai, with over 25 years of experience in the IT industry. Throughout his career, He has held a key roles including developer, engineering lead, solution architect, and enterprise architect across leading IT consulting organizations. He has led architecture and solution design for major system and business transformation initiatives in telecom as well as healthcare, payer, and provide domains. With his extensive experience in enterprise architecture and large-scale transformation projects, he brings valuable practical insight to today's section. We are honored to have both of you with us today. I now invite Mr. Rajnarayanan CK and Mr. Ayyappan Balakrishnan to take over section. Thank you, sir. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Sajita. Good afternoon, everyone. And I just wanted to start off thanking you for the opportunity to be part of this faculty development program. So I'm sharing my screen. Just a minute. Okay, I hope you are able to see my screen and able to hear me okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, I know we saw the agenda of the faculty development program, and we know that you have been going through a lot of technical deep dive sessions around the AI applicability and its current adoption trends across the industry, particularly the healthcare industry. And what we are trying to bring in today over the next 45-50 minutes is to give you an overview of how the AI adoption is working, how the industry is leaning towards the AI adoption, some of the drivers that are forcing the healthcare industry to take up AI in a really serious way. And we will also drill down into each of those industry verticals, value streams to see how the AI potential is seen. And we'll also touch upon a few of the sample use cases as well that are being tried out. This will be largely focused on the trends that we see in the Americas, but the rest of the geographies is also very closely following such trends. So with that brief, I'll start off. So one of the first things that I wanted to touch upon is to say why AI is really mainstream now is primarily because of four factors, right? One is the real explosion of computing power. In the recent days, we have had GPUs enhance their power considerably. We also have TPUs which operate on multi-dimensional data in parallel. And the storage devices have become cheap, have become faster, are able to hold petabytes of data today. And the cloud infrastructure provides the required elasticity that is required to really train and run AI workloads. And then the second key factor is about the ubiquity of data with the social media, then the plethora of smart devices, right? Smart TVs, smart watches, smartphones, smart homes, and not to mention, also to mention the purpose-driven IoT sensors and devices that are coming up in multiple domains. And the third key factor is about the democratization of AI. Which is started when Google kind of open sourced their deep learning library called TensorFlow about 9-10 years back. And since then, there have been a steady profusion of multiple frameworks, libraries, and runtimes that are available that make the AI development simpler, and it brings the AI development the capabilities to all the development community. And recently, all of the large language models and small language models that have come from multiple generative AI vendors and as well as from the cloud hypervisors That makes it really easy to have AI within the reach of every industry and every developer as well. And the last one is around the algorithmic breakthroughs, which started off primarily in the sequence to sequence mapping problems, right? Which started off kind of with the recurrent neural networks in the TensorFlow era. And now it has evolved into transformer architectures, attention mechanisms, and then reinforced learning on top of attention to based on human feedback to continuously improve the model capability. Now, when we talk about the healthcare ecosystem, what we really are covering is three separate industrial segments. One that is called as payer in the US geography, who are primarily the sponsors for benefit and coverage, and primarily the health insurance providers there. And then the second industry segment that we'll talk about is providers, who are the care delivery entities, which includes hospitals, nursing homes, doctors, labs, and then the scan centers, etc. And the third piece of that is about life sciences, which deals largely with pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and then biotech kits that are used for advanced treatment and diagnostic purposes today. And the lines between these industry segments are kind of blurring now, and they are all kind of merging into a compound entity with patient at the center. And recently there have been a lot of regulations around the interoperability between these industry segments as well, and that continues to evolve. So in that perspective, we'll touch upon all three domains, all three industry segments in this session to talk about where we are in the state of AI. Now, if you look at the AI evolution in general, it has gone through three distinct stages in the last 10 years. Right? We started off with the predictive AI, which was largely about analytics, deriving some insights from the data that is available within the enterprise. So the AI analyzes the data, it comes up with advisory notes, and then humans act on that recommendations. So that happened from about 2015 to 2022. Then we moved into the generative AI era with the arrival of ChatGPT, Gemini kind of models, where we are able to generate a new content, be it a documentation, code, reports, even audio, video content. And that started the productivity enhancement applications of AI. That happened for the last about 3-4 years back, 2022 to 2024. And today we are in an era which is more of an autonomy, giving the AI more autonomy, allowing it to act on the systems, act on the external world, which can plan, execute multi-step tasks without much human input, right? And you also see there some examples of what kind of outcomes we are expecting from the AI. So the predictive era, it will say probably a patient will get readmitted to a hospital, or this member is unlikely to renew my insurance. And in the generative AI era, we started looking at, okay, it's a draft of the discharge summary from the hospital, or this is the explanation of the benefits. And this is your treatment coverage for a particular disease, etc. And today in the agentic AI, you can go through the full cycle of things, starting from monitoring a patient, identifying drug contraindications, monitor and report the treatment adherence, and also propose a lifestyle changes based on the inputs that it is receiving. And the healthcare ecosystem is today leveraging all three parts of this in a large measure, as we will see in the rest of the session. So if you look at how AI is getting adopted by these industries, there are two major themes within that. One is about the productivity enhancement, and the second one is largely about a business process transformation with autonomous business processes, right? So in the productivity-driven, AI-driven productivity, we see in two areas where it is often happening today. One is in the software development itself. So all the three industry segments that we talked about are largely regulatory driven, has a huge dependence on data and the systems that processes that the data in a very continuous way. And software development is one of the key budget component of all these three industry segments, right? And any productivity enablement in that area is a real benefit for those industry segments. So that starts from AI coding assistance right down to the white coding kind of tools which can convert the requirements directly to deployable code, can generate test suits, monitor the quality of your software continuously. And the LLMs, the generative AI, can continuously generate a document and keep them updated as the system evolves. And the second area is around the IT operations, where AI there are several platforms and tools that monitor the IT infrastructure today to detect anomalies, to resolve the L1, L2 kind of level 1, level 2 incidents, production incidents right off without much human intervention. And also keep monitoring the security posture of the entire IT landscape, right? Just to look for any HIPAA leakages or any intrusion from external outside of the enterprise. And the business process transformation area, this is happening both in the clinical and scientific processes, as well as in the administrative functions, like the drug research and the discovery. And then we have multiple multi-step complex clinical operational processes that the AI can drive across multiple portfolios of applications. It really augments clinical decision making at the point of care and available to the physicians and nurses right at their terminal. And it continues to predict outcomes for the patients, for a treatment regime based on a medical adherence, etc., and manages the population health as well. And we will see a few detailed use cases in subsequent slides. And on the administrative side, it is largely used to automate high volume transactions like prior authorizations or claim adjudication, even including eligibility determination and things like that. There are a lot of intelligent AI-enabled automation thing which can largely mimic a human decision making in flows like appeals and grievances and then prior authorization as well. To enforce the enterprise policy, compliance, and quality rules consistently. And there are AI frameworks now available which can orchestrate end-to-end business processes, interacting with your core applications as well as with other AI agents as well. And of course, the analytics continue to be a key part of this, which will convert the raw transactional data into some actionable insights that the executives can act upon. And underlying both these teams, there is also a parallel development of platforms which can drive these teams across enterprise in a consistent, purposeful way, incorporating ethical AI explainability as well as the governance structures on top of it. Right, and all this, the potential of all this is looking at multiple business KPIs like compressing the drug timelines, reducing the medical loss ratios, and um, free up the clinicians to focus more on the patient care, etc. So, if you look at the broad brush stroke of the kind of capabilities of AI that is being leveraged, there are four key areas that we see consistently that most of our healthcare customers go for. One, the first one is on the generation, which is largely targeting around their reporting, compliance, and then the member or provider outreach, right? And most of these processes are getting automated through generative agentic AI today. And the second broad area is about document processing, where we are able to ingest multimodal documents, let's say an X-ray image or a ECG or a MRI scan, handle huge volume of electronic documentation that is required, extract the entity information, and be able to feed it into the traditional back-end core systems. And workflow automation is where a lot of this autonomous business process effort is going into, where if there is a clear step-by-step process defined with some level of human judgment involved, this workflow automation is another theme that is being automated by the healthcare industry. And last one is around the user experience, be it whether you are calling a customer support center or you are accessing your information through the portal. So there are agents now that can mostly take you through most of your queries and respond to you in a very human-like fashion that you will be able to get whatever that you are looking for without even reaching into the customer service. And so that's the broad brush context that I wanted to set before getting into each of the industry level notes. Okay, then we will start with the payer industry, which covers all of the health insurance companies as well as the managed care organizations in the US. So if you look at the AI across the spectrum of the payer industry, one of the key drivers there is about $300 billion is the estimated loss in the healthcare, US healthcare, around the fraud, waste, and abuse, right? And more than 56% of the payer organizations in the US have started using AI for utilization management. And 70% of at least our customers are already pursuing an active AI implementation project. Yeah, and if you look at the kind of the focus areas of such AI engagements within the healthcare and the payer industry, is the first one is around improving the patient experience of the care, right? So a very personalized, proactive interventions, monitoring patients continuously, having a better communication, taking out the logistics part of it, like scheduling queries out of the provider and the payer industry employees, out, and gives those capabilities directly into the member patient. Then reducing the per capita cost of care. So minimize my readmissions into the hospital, process the claims automatically, detect fraud, waste, and abuse right at the beginning rather than as a post process, and automate the print and mailroom processes as well, right? Then the third key focus area around that is about improving the health of populations. This is where a lot of analytics are run about the population health management, and then risk stratification of my members so that I can identify people with high risk and give them more personalized interventions to manage their disease and things like that. And then improving the well-being of the healthcare workforce. This is more about managing the schedules of at least the costly equipments and procedures that are being offered to the patients, right? The resource allocation, and then interventions, prompt interventions for them as well in order to improve their overall well-being. And the last one is about advancing health equity, making medical education available to every one of them, and then have a remote patient monitoring that eliminates the more costlier settings like the ICU or the hospice kind of settings. And then have early interventions through continuous monitoring, and also about the risk modeling so that you can specifically target high-risk patients for better management of it. And the way we normally look at the industry level is what we call as this value chain, value streaming. And we divide the enterprise into 11 different functions that happens within the enterprise, within the Bayer organization. And within that, there are sub-functions that, like for example, if I have to do enrollment, I have starting from what is there in the group setup, and then do an enrollment intake, and then onboard the member, issue an ID card, etc. And then you have a mail room so that you can start receiving their claims, so process them, pay the amount, and you specify the benefits for those members, what is covered in that plan, what is not covered, how much they will have to pay, etc. And then finally around the fulfillment, like you issue ID card, give them a welcome kit, you know the process, you make sure that they know the processes of how to get admitted, how to raise a claim, and how to get reimbursed, things like that, right? And we have 11 such business functions depicted in this diagram, and it is color coded to show the potential of AI in each of those places, each of those sub functions. I'll probably not go through each and every one of them, but we will see some representative use cases subsequently in some of these areas. But the idea that I'm trying to convey here is to say there are quite a few areas which have a very high AI potential within the value chain, right? Which is shown by the light blue color. And there are more where it has about a moderate potential. And the other areas, in the other area which are not color coded here, there are still we are on the lookout for opportunities where AI can be infused in a better way. Okay. Okay, just drilling down into some of those sub-level boxes where we have the high potential, and trying to list down where all AI is being implemented in those. Like for example, the underwriting process. This is where the insurance company actually decides the premium to be paid for a member, right? That is, there are several business processes within that around the risk stratification. How do they do dynamic pricing or experience-based pricing for premium? And then eligibility determination for multiple types of plans and benefits that is available in the industry. And then walking a user through the available plans and helping a member to choose the most appropriate plan for his or her condition, right? And also around the fraud detection around enrollment, to make sure that someone doesn't use the insurance in order to earn money from their disease. And then utilization management is an area which is one of the highly adopted areas for the AI, including they do prior authorization, and then concurrent patient review, which is like a review of the medical condition of the patient that happens while the patient is in hospital. Right? And then claims around auto adjudication, determining the coding accuracy, then intelligent claims, etc. So at least these 8 areas have. So member experience is another area where a lot of investment is going on. Even now we can see a lot of the payers having this virtual assistants, which can be a constant guide to a patient there, and providing this proactive health nudges, suggesting lifestyle changes, etc. And then being a front end at the call center to address most of the inquiries that come from them. And on the regulatory compliance side as well, we look at risk adjustments, adjustment submission to the government for their payments, the CMS star ratings. These are US specific business processes that happen a lot using AI. One of the key dimension in using AI in all of these industries, in the 3 industry segments that we talked about, is around ethics and governance, right? So even now we have lawsuits where patients have accused the payers as incorrectly denying their claim using an AI. Talking about algorithmic bias, where they are being discriminated by the AI against the respective population. So these are forcing payers to largely look at the explainability in a very critical way, right? Whenever AI is used, it's very, very important that the payer maintains a track of what model is being used, how the model was trained, what was the representation of the individual groups within the training data. And then while the AI runs, it has to explain every decision, every thought process, and every reference that it used to arrive at these decisions. Right? So there is a lot of focus around building a human review, at least for the very critical clinical decisions and administrative decisions. Having a clear audit trail across the entire, all of the AI interfaces to make sure that what was input to the AI and what came out, and the thought process in between. Ensuring that there is bias and fairness. There is no bias, and the model operates in all fairness in multiple usage scenarios. And build explainability at every path, so that it is able to explain how it arrived at that decision in a way humans can understand very clearly. And all this requires kind of a governance board to be set up even before the first AI solution is rolled out, to have this infrastructure in place so that we don't get into this denial controversy or the bias for this controversies. Just a quick snapshot of the AI maturity. If we look at the value stream components and the primary value that each of these value stream delivers, and also some of the key considerations if we are implementing AI in any one of these values. So as you see, there are many high, very high, medium to high within this table, and few which are already in medium. So just goes on to say that the AI adoption has almost been universal within the AI industry. So moving on, a similar look at the provider industry. So the provider industry, one key characteristic of this industry is this is a lot of product and platform driven industry, right? So if you look at the overall amount being spent on AI within these three industry segments, roughly about 75% of them goes into the health platforms and the data platforms supporting the AI processes here, much more than payers and life sciences combined. It's more than about a $1 billion commitment annually for AI investments. And one of the key driver for them is really 20% of their budgets is being consumed by the administrative tasks. And AI targets this cost component directly. And the components, if we drill down into that 20% component, it translates into these 5 areas, right? Reducing the clinician burnout. So it's like roughly about 20% of every doctor's time goes out in documentation and then interfacing with the insurance companies and the life sciences companies, right? So all that is now slowly shifting into the AI-based workforce with EHR integration. Then augmenting the clinical capacity to a very optimized resource scheduling, to have a digital patient intake, have a digital triage right at the starting point of the patient journey, etc. Then patient safety is another key driver there, about where the trends include the remote patient monitoring, looking for medication safety, contraindications. So as soon as a doctor writes out a prescription, the AI automatically scans, correlates it with the other medicines the patient is taking, and then flags any contraindications immediately. And surgical real-time guidance, where the surgeon gets live updates on the patient's anatomy and physiology, etc., in order to better plan and execute the surgery. And cardiac scanning, precision medicine. So all these are aiming towards enhancing the patient safety. Of course, reducing the cost of the care, make sure that the resources are utilized, optimized in an optimal way, ensure that the claims that the providers do not get denied, they are checked both from a coding accuracy and as well as against the policy coverage to make sure that there are no denials. Right? And then the last one is around compliance. Providers are driven by, they are measured by a number of quality measures, both by governmental agencies and as well as by private survey agencies. And they also look at how to prevent the readmissions into the hospital, and then compare the care equity. If a patient with similar conditions get treated by 2 different doctors, how closely their treatment plans resemble, etc. And we have a similar view here. Again, in the provider, the value stream has got about 5 pillars, as you see here, and each of them have multiple sub-processes. Again, the color coding here shows the light blue has very high potential sub-processes where AI can be infused, and dark blues have kind of a moderate potential. Again, I'll not go through the visual items there. Then, like I said, this is one industry where this is one industry segment which is largely driven by AI infused products and platforms which are already available out of the box, right? And so the hypervisors, the cloud providers, they provide a strong infrastructure for the data and as well as to run your AI workloads. And these products build on top of the cloud capabilities, and then bring the business process automation end to end. Like, for example, with electronic health records, there are at least 5 different products which help with AI-infused process automation, and they also provide a backbone for on top of which you can build your own custom AI agents as well. Similarly for the other key areas as well. And to finally wrap that view, we see the AI maturity across this value stream and domains that we talked about. And it shows again the primary value delivered and key considerations on applying AI to these areas. That I'll hand it over to Ayyappan to take out from here to the life sciences view as well, and then we will have a couple of conclusions at the end of it, just to have the key takeaways as well as the skill set that will be really relevant in the AI. Thank you for listening so far, and over to you.
Thanks, Raj. You're able to hear me well?
Yes, I'm.
So you can move on to the next slide, Raj. So first of all, good afternoon to you all, and thanks for the opportunity to speak in this elite forum. And I'm just going to talk about, as a continuation of what Raj is talking about, I'm going to focus on the life science industry, which consists of drugs, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, as well as the medical devices industry, which put together is a life science industry. So traditionally, life science industry is a very high investment, very long gestation period for developing drugs, and the opportunity for AI is very huge, and that's what it's happening. And the core, if you see the big numbers that you see in the dashboard, is 93% of the LS industry people are investing on AI, and there's a huge potential in investment, and huge returns are being being retrieved. The ROI is retrieved from some of the key processes in the life science industry, especially in the drug development and drug discovery part of the life science process, and they report a huge operational improvements. And as you see, these kind of AI plays a role in in developing drugs and vaccines in record times, as we see in the COVID era as well. Right? So the core problem that AI solves in life science industry is primarily on drug development, which is a very long time consuming process, which is 12 to 15 years to identify the drug, identify the targets, develop the drug, and go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, and get it approved by different regulatory agencies, and very costly operations as well. And this is where the huge benefits or huge developments happen in the AI world. And it's a more data intensive operation, data intensive industry. Lots of data gathered, lot of scientific data, lots of data reported to the regulatory agencies to communicate on whatever happens in the industry as such. Right? It's a heavily regulated. Everything is tracked, everything is reported, and basically AI compress all these timelines, especially generative AI and transformer model based AI systems developed specifically for the healthcare data and the life science data are really transforming the way that the life science industry operates. And it's been, it's all above the pilot phase now. They are all life science industries really deploying key solutions in most of the life cycle processes. And you can see the molecule to market. There are 7 value stream processes, from R&D discovery to clinical development, to finally to make it to the market and then make it good in the commercial sense, right? So there's the entire, all of these value stream processes are pretty much affected or are impacted by the AI systems and solutions. Raj, you can move on to the next slide, Raj. So I go through a key developments or key benefit or impacts on each of these value stream process. The first one we talk about is the R&D and drug discovery. This is a very high impact, if you want to call it, it's a very explosive impact with respect to AI solutions, AI platforms, the kind of research that happens. So one to call for is the Google's DeepMind model, which is called the AlphaFold, which really revolutionized the protein structure detection, which is structure modeling, which is the basic of any drug discovery process. And in each of the process of the drug discovery pipeline, which is either starting from the target identification, basically identifying the target proteins, which has to be addressed for the effective treatment, and then they're producing the protein structure, and then generating the molecules. Basically, to current processes, the traditional processes go through the laborious process of identifying a different drug discovery based on the existing literature or existing list of chemical molecules and biological molecules. But the AI really helps in creating a new and novel molecule by itself, generating this novel molecule which would fit into the particular drug, basically giving a 2x 10x lead time in terms of identifying the drug molecules for the R&D scientists to work on, instead of looking through thousands and 10,000s of chemical compounds and molecules. It really brings in the effectiveness of making it to a very reduced set of list of molecules for them to work on in a wet lab or actual lab experiments. So in that sense, all part of your drug pipeline in terms of molecular design or target identification and protein structure prediction, there are AI platforms and AI solutions which are trained on extensive set of data sets that happened anywhere, anything in the public data sets, as well as the organizational knowledge on the life science industry data. And these data is being used during the drug development process to basically bring in efficiency in terms of timeline as well as the cost advantage. And the kind of NLP solutions and text-based solutions really helps the scientists to basically create the hypothesis very effectively by looking at 35 billion plus biomedical papers are available. So going through each of these papers and then making the research out of it really helps them model these different data into a graph-based databases, or in a vector databases, or a different way of organizing the data in a AI specific way for them to quickly synthesize this data and then create hypothesis quickly while doing the drug development process. There are multiple, as you can see, there are multiple platforms that are there, really specifically building automations and ingesting AI in every step of the way to automate these particular drug delivery process. The second value stream is on the clinical development and trials. The post drug development goes through the elaborate set of clinical development, the clinical trial process, which is basically identifying the patients, identifying the cohort of patients, and identifying the site, which is a laborious process. It needs interactions with the HCPs, the healthcare professionals, hospital networks, getting the medical records from the patients, and carefully analyzing these medical records and identifying the right set of patients, right set of sites, and have them into the cohort for the clinical trial procedures. So the site selection and patient recruitment is the key process, which is highly laborious and highly manual intensive process is being basically transformed fully through the AI based models, which helps in selecting the right sites and right kind of patients. And also adaptive trial design is it's a newly built way that the clinical trials are run, and even FDA approves or recommend these kind of design where your trials or the trial data as the trial goes on, the data from the patients are gathered, and then instead of waiting for the trial to end to do the analysis on the on the clinical data that is received during the trial from the patients, as and when the data is received, do the statistical analysis, apply models, and basically during the trial, intervene on your protocols and in real time adjusting your doses, cohorts, adjusting the patients. So all of these things can happen in a real time manner so that your trials can be more successful or can be guided in the right direction, bringing in efficiency. And in the COVID time, there are due to limited online presence, you have the physical presence in the facilities. Decentralized trials really kicked off, where you have the AI systems helps collect the data from different devices, remote data from the patients, from the wearables, from the remote monitoring devices, and then generating consent letters, making it, how to communicate the clinical trial goals and the documentations and the procedures to the patients and get the consent from them. So all these processes with the decentralized trials, the AI plays a role, and there are designated platforms that makes these processes more efficient, and then basically creating a very much efficient clinical trial processes to intervene and makes a protocol very simple and efficient to operate in the clinical trial period. So you can go to the next slide, Raj. This is on the first two value stream, and third is on the regulatory affairs. As these drug development process happens, or the clinical trial goes, there are a lot of documentation that has to be produced to the regulatory agencies. Whether it is FDA in US, there are corresponding organizations in different regions like EU and China and Japan. Different countries have different regulatory agencies, and then there are much more documentation. Scientific documentations have to be produced for consumption by the regulatory agencies to audit, as well as to clear the each stage of the drug development process. So here the LLMs and models, the generative models, really help in creating these CTD module narratives. Basically, it's a technical document where your clinical data, non-clinical data, and the quality data of the trials are being submitted with the scientific precision. So this is where it's a sweet spot for LLM-based or transformer-based models, that it really gives the efficiency in terms of 40 to 50% to generate those content and grounded on the data that is provided by the in the organization in terms of the laboratory experiments, clinical experiments, and the patient data. As there are other use cases where AI plays a role, basically when it comes to applying these making it available to multiple markets. There are different labeling requirements of the same drug with the multi-language support, and then different kind of information to be sent for each of these labels for each different countries according to the specific country specific regulatory standards. And as and when there is an new update happens with respect to new findings on the particular drug, any additional updates on risks. So all of these things have to be labeled meticulously for each of these countries according to each of these country regulations. These labeling requirements have a very high manual intervention in terms of verifying these labels and then producing these labeling information for the as part of the product, which AI brings in a lot of efficiency in terms of how this could be applied uniformly, and then make it available to country specific regulations. And the regulatory intelligence. So as and when you have the FDA and other regulatory agencies provide very frequent guidances with respect to any kind of process in terms of drug development, clinical trials, or in the manufacturing processes. So these guidelines have to be applied almost real time. It has to be applied, and then it will be audited. So these guidelines are, it's a laborious process of looking at the guidelines and see how these guidelines are applicable to the product portfolio that a particular enterprise has. So these activities are highly automated, and then industries are looking at automating these processes to read all these different guidance documents and then look for fitment and an application into the product portfolio. And whenever there is a submission happens, there could be errors, or there could be missing information when the FDA comes back with further question. These gaps can be addressed pre-submission with the data that the organization has, basically providing the gap analysis of what could be the gaps in the submission before doing the submission to the regulatory agencies. So the gap could be identified with respect to standard content, the scientific accuracy, so that the regulatory submissions are not accurate to get the approval. So that is on the regulatory affairs. And the manufacturing. So that's a huge process. It's very highly controlled process. It's not just manufacturing. When a particular batch fails, the batch is gone. It has to follow up through multiple submissions, multiple reasoning that has to be provided to the regulatory agencies as why the batch is failed, what is the conditions, and what are all the different what is the risk, what is the remedial actions. All of these things is not just a question of just the particular batch failed and then start a new batch. All the explanations has to be given to the regulatory agency. So it's a very critical, very highly controlled and quality controlled process. Obviously, the AI is playing a very huge role in terms of how we can do a real-time quality control, basically integrating the sensor data from different devices in the manufacturing process, different sensors and probes, and acquiring the data and then maintaining the quality, or predicting the quality, or checking the quality and changing the process parameters. For example, if it takes to creating a digital twins, or having a digital representation of a drug manufacturing process, for example, a bioreactor, and you can have IoT based sensors which rides on top of different probes and then monitors to monitor the different parameters like dissolved oxygen, cell density, temperature, pressure, agitator speed. So all of these things are having a play in terms of how the drugs get formulated, and these data could be or gathered. The models are run. There is a predictive modeling that happens on the equipment data, on the equipment, the function of the equipment itself, or on the process as well, to predict the behavior of the process, so that the batch could be the batch success rates would be higher, and then the overall quality could be improved. And then next thing is the supply chain resilience. Basically, as the ingredients for the drug manufacturing process sourced from different suppliers, it's a supplier is a big network of suppliers, and then how we can map, how we can manage the quality, how you can report the information to as and when the manufacturing reporting happens to the regulatory agencies. The supply chain resilience and supply chain modeling, and then running AI on top of it to produce the real-time data in terms of how the supply chain is effectively functioning to run your batches appropriately. So all these are heavily influenced by the AI processes now, and there are platforms and solutions like Rockwell and Siemens or Palantir, which provides these kind of platforms to effectively improve the operational efficiency of these processes. Raj, can you go to the new slide? Next slide, yeah. So the next one is the pharmacovigilance, which is a huge part in the life science industry, which is basically providing the tracking the adverse events or the signals that comes from the market once the drug is released. It has to be meticulously collected, reported, and then addressed. The risks has to be properly called out with the FDA, and it has to be called out to the market as well. And then the follow-up actions has to be regularly reported. So there is a different ways these adverse events are being intake taken from multiple channels and sources, like extracts from different medical journals, or it could be from emails, it could be from doctor interactions, or it could be from different social media channels. So all these have to be collected, filtered, and then maybe extracted the specific information on what is the adverse event, and it has to be recorded and then reported to the report. And you have to have the extensive report has to be provided to the regulatory agencies. And before even adverse event happens, there are additional modules or additional platform AI platforms are built to even before the adverse event happens, look for signals, right? And then look for different signals from different channels and different reports, and detect the drug safety signals earlier than the thresholds. And as part of the pharmacovigilance process, there are many reports that are being submitted, safety reports, and then aggregating these reports and providing the narrative to the regulatory agencies with all the scientific explanations, with the clinical data and the drug data available with the organization. The AI models are playing a big role in improving productivity on these reporting processes. The sixth one is the market access and medical affairs. So the medical affairs is about how the drug is taken to the key stakeholders in the in the healthcare ecosystem. And then as Raj mentioned, now the three parts of ecosystem: the payer, provider, and life science industry are much more integrated, or much more integration is expected from the regulation, where now the real world evidences, what is happening with this, what is happening with the particular drug, the reactions, and what is the effectiveness of the drugs in the market with the patients have to be regularly reported, and also that has to be given to the payers, the insurance carriers, to effectively price accept these drugs in their formularies. Typically, payers will have the formulary where they will have a list of drugs that are approved for the reimbursement by the insurance. So they need to kind of watch the payer formularies and making sure that the drugs or the drug information is adequately provided to the payers. The market intelligence is given to the payers, so that the drug companies get the reimbursement from the payers. And another part of it is how the drug is in the market. So drug is being used, and the patient, how the patients are going through the particular journey of adapting the drug. So what happens in the with the claims in their care settings, how the drugs are being used, in what are they used in a particular protocol, and what is the effectiveness of the protocol. So all of these things are monitored right now through the AI-based systems. Typically, it's a manual process where you are going through hundreds and thousands of EHR data and the care management programs data that comes from different hospital setup organizations, and the payer data, which is being monitored and processed through AI to identify the care gaps, or predicting different protocols, drug-related protocols to effectively manage the drugs to the patients. And from the medical affairs perspective, how these drugs information can be. It's also the AI also helps in planning and positioning these drugs into different markets. So how the drugs has to be provisioned, who is the influencing leader in a particular hospital system, which doctor is influential, which journal is influential to have the drug advertised, or the drug information could be given to influence the better prescription, right? So all of these medical affairs and addressing the market is being transformed through AI-based processes and systems and automations. Raj, can you go to the next slide? So finally, the commercial excellence, the real interface with the HCPs, the nurse practitioners. These are all the last mile delivery of these are the people who prescribe the medicine and devices, and their queries has to be answered. How the life science industry engage with them continuously to promote the drug, to get the feedback from the drug. It could be through the medical congress, it could be through the social events, it could be through the real email digital channels, or it could be through the over the phone call, or it could be through the personal visits. How the representative, sales representative, could be equipped with intelligence so that the drug information or personalized and then provided to the specific stakeholders in the ecosystem to get maximum benefit out for the specific drugs and prescriptions. And typical use cases in terms of forecasting and content generation for different reviews are the specific use cases where from the marketing and commercial perspective, AI plays a very big role, and it really improves the operational processes, and it's really explosive. Use cases, or the adoption is very high in this particular area, and for some of the drugs like the specialty drugs or high value drugs or new drugs. So there is also a mechanism typically in the US to recruit patients and support the patients with the financial help, and then basically outside the healthcare ecosystem, life science organizations also monitor the patients and then help the patients acquire the drug, reimburse, help them through the prior auth process. So basically coach the patients, especially during early stages of drug adoption in the market. So this kind of patient services operations also has the AI plays a big role in terms of identifying the patients and identifying the needs of the patients to promote the drug in different in the patient's recovery life cycle. So that is on the each 7 work streams. And this slide gives a summary view of key platforms that are there in the life science industry. Basically, all these developments, the AI models and infrastructure are running on the horizontal AI infrastructure, which is Azure, OpenAI, Google, NVIDIA. All of these hyperscalers are providing the base framework, transformer models, not generic LLM models. They all provide specific healthcare specific, life science specific models based on chemistry data, biological data, clinical data, based on the public data sets that's available in different countries. So the data which are all like public medical literature. So all of these base foundation models and hyperscalers provide very fine-tuned transformer-based or specific model-based models as a foundation models, and all these kind of R&D platforms, and there are specific vendors. So platform-based ecosystems provide the superior AI intelligence, AI workflows on top of these platforms, and they have created their own AI workflows and custom fine-tuning workflows on the different value stream processes in terms of R&D, regulatory and safety, and the commercial side of it. Raj, can go to the next slide. So this is so while we talked about the life science, the impact of AI across the 7 key value stream. In overall, from a health ecosystem perspective, whether it's a payer or provider or a life science organization, so how they get successful in terms of as an organization or individual or an individual perspective, right? So what is needed? What should be the capability of an organization or an individual per se from a skill and then capability standpoint? That's what this represents, right? So it's a diagram where the 3 aspects have to come together, which is the domain fluency, because the domain fluency is all about the understanding of the clinical ecosystem, regulatory, whatever the particular domain it talks about, the clinical, regulatory, or commercial aspects, and then converting that domain understanding into the requirements, and then having awareness of different regulations and the data structures and the rules and everything that is pertaining to that is there in a particular industry and domain. And then second one is the AI literacy. Obviously, the knowledge about different AI models. There are hundreds and thousands of models. Some of them are based on front-end models. Some of them are very specific models trained on different kind of data sets. So how to train and how to prepare the data, how to have the what kind of models to be used, what kind of training and algorithm has to be provided. That AI literacy is the next point. And second one is third one is the verification discipline. So verification discipline is about how we can verify, because all of these processes, anyway, the AI, this has to be verified. That verification has to go through the whatever the model produces, whatever the output of the model has to be verified. That should be backed by the specific domain expertise, as well as the explainability and audit, and then extensive logging on why the particular AI function this particular way. So all these combined is that all these 3 skills are required, and that is the sweet spot that is there in terms of all these 3 skills is required to have the AI platforms are deployed and get the efficiency, whatever that's being expected, and ROI and efficiency expected, even from organizational capability standpoint, even from the individual standpoint, which is your the job skill required for the individual to be successful in the industry. So that is on the skill, and this is the put together, which is the key takeaways, what we have gone through so far. Just 6 summary points. One is it's no longer experimental. There are deep implications and applications of AI technologies across the payer, provider, insurance, health systems, as well as in the life science industry, and each of these domain processes where there are specific models built, the platforms are built with intelligence, and then they are all deeply providing the automation plus intelligence layer to the different processes. And really the second point is on it's not just domain anymore. The cloud computing, the infrastructure layer that Raj started off with the initial slide of what leads to the AI explosion, which is the cloud infrastructure, the GPU, the data, all of this, and the aggregating these data, and the ML and NLP algorithm, generative AI, agentic AI. All these engineering disciplines are very much intertwined in the domain process today. It's not just it's not just coding or just a programming, or it is not. So all of these things are coming together, and it's not a biological problem anymore. It's all engineering problem as we see it going further, right? And then third is data infrastructure. Of course, every organizations are built with a siloed data structure or very widespread data ecosystem, and having a data unified data infrastructure, having a very foundational layer with the proper data pipelines, which is really needed for the AI application, which is a critical enabler for developing AI applications. And then governance and ethics that Raj talked about. It's there in each and every aspect of the industry. Raj talked about payer, which is there are ethical concerns in terms of how you what is the reasons for denying the claim, which are ethical concerns, whether AI can do that particular job. In the same way, AI can AI create a safety summary or regulatory summary to the FDA for drug information. So all of these things are being addressed and by the platforms in multiple ways. And then the platforms are really picking up the instead of point solutions on AI, all leading platforms. If you look at life science, the Viva, which is a very widespread used platform for commercial and safety reasons, and there are pointed solutions. Pointed platforms are different for different value stream processes, likewise in the provider, which are all equipped with AI-based AI infused workflows to give operational efficiency. And finally, the skill or the capability that organizations and the individual has to have, or which is the basic need that is being required to be successful in the AI era, which is the combining of the domain knowledge, the verification knowledge, as well as the AI skills. So that is the key takeaway that we wanted to convey to you overall. So that is end of my presentation. So we will thank you for the opportunity, and then if you have any questions, we are very happy to take it on it right now.
Thank you, Mr. Najnarayan CK and Mr. Ayyappan Balakrishna for that highly insightful and engaging session. We will now move on to the question and answer session. Participants are requested to kindly post their questions in the chat box or raise their hand. Now I would like to invite the participant to interact with our resource person. If you have any questions or doubts, please feel free to raise them now. You may either unmute yourself or post your questions in the chat box. Feedback form already shared, kindly fill it.
Hi Sachita. Hi everyone. I think the feedback form can be circulated with the faculties later. I would like to ask if anybody have any question, they can shoot their questions. Otherwise, we'll wind up the session for today.
Okay, ma'am.
Anybody has any questions, you can ask the leaders.
How does BioNemo support research in drug discovery and life sciences?
So what we see is it's BioNeMo is a set of models like what Google or either model produces. So models have, and these kind of models are employed in the typical drug uh, discovery pipeline, which is, as I told you, it's the uh, on the different steps in the drug pipeline process in terms of target identification, protein, and then target novel drug molecule identification. So BioNeMo set of models, which is from the NVIDIA, helps in that aspect.
Okay, thank you, sir. If there are no further questions, we shall proceed to the vote of thanks. On behalf of the organizing team, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Mr. Rajnarayanan CK and Mr. Ayyappan Balakrishnan for delivering such an informative and valuable section. Your insight on AI-driven transformation in healthcare and life sciences have truly enriched our understanding. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants for your active participation and engagement. Sir, one more question. How does BioNemo handle multimodal biological data?
Our understanding is these models are pre-trained models on biological data as such, and then what these models could be further trained if organizations have their own uh, organizational data. Those can be included. There is a mechanism of fine tuning, which the large transformation models, which is available for any it's available in any large language models. So if the organization has their own biological data, enterprise data, that can be included in the fine tuning of the already existing pre-trained models to get the behavior of the specific task or specific specific task that you want the model to be trained for. So it's a fine tuning approach that has to be taken. If you have to have if your enterprises has their own uh, um, the genomic or the proteomic data that is coming in, that has to be trained further over and above the BioNeMo models that's available.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all once again. We conclude today's session here. Thank you for your active involvement and we look forward to your presence tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.